Beginning of the week. Yes.
We are live. Good morning. Good morning, Sunday Safe Spaces. For everyone who has joined us, thank you. And everyone who's looking at this later on, thank you. And we are so happy to be here. Wesley Hamilton is in the room. I am here, and we have Amy, who is, she keeps us. And we appreciate her for being here. So we have an intimate group. Wes and I decided to just kind of check in because we've had so many guests coming on, and it's been wonderful. But we like to just talk with each other, catch up on what we're both doing, and just kind of tapping on the pulse of what's going on. And there's a lot of going on this week. So
Woo! Oh my God, April. Like literally. What's up everybody? But just hitting on what you just said, it's been a tough week. So I think yeah, I really took time away from everything for I don't know, a few days. I didn't get back to work till Friday just because of how heavy this week was for me. Um, it's really the reason why we started this, right? Like the same stuff that keep happening is the reason why we started this to have conversations. And it's like, man, how much more do we got to educate to just continually see the same things happening? And what has to change even more so that we can be able to sleep easy at night, because that's the hard part that a lot of people don't understand is that we go home and we're thinking about our brothers or our uncles or fathers, and even the women. I mean, I have to just speak on the LSU incident for a second. There was a lady down there that was missing, and I seen a post that was just where that they had took the missing signs down at the campus, just to only find out that she was found, I think, along the Mississippi River or something like that. And and I'm not going to go in depth to that, but it's just those things. It's like so many people keep sweeping things under the rug, and we're having to be concerned about everybody that looks like us. And how do we sleep at night when we're dealing with the pressure, the PTSD that it comes with, and so I just wanted to add that because it's a Sunday. We're gonna look and be hopeful for a new and better week, but also for anyone that's watching and will watch, like, it wasn't easy for us to go backwards again. It wasn't easy for us to watch something in a sense that the excuses that it was I'm mistakenly thought this for this, and then in the same instance of the George Floyd trial, and just the pressure that that's coming with. So when we're having these conversations and we're doing these things, we want people that's listening to take action, because like if we're sitting here and we're talking to you, trust and believe mentally, we're finding our ways to heal ourselves every day just to be able to have a conversation that makes sense, that doesn't come with a lot of emotion, a lot of anger, because it's there. So I just wanted to share that because it's just, I'm happy that it's us, and I'm grateful for Amy, just being able to still be a part of this, because it's just been a lot to deal with, and we have some amazing things that we can unpack. We have amazing episodes and amazing conversations that speak on the things that we're trying to change in this world. So I just wanted to be able to let anybody listening to know, look, it was hard for Wes. I smile all the time. I'm always happy, but trust and believe it was a very tough week for me.
I appreciate you sharing that and being open and vulnerable, right? Because that's what we're about. And I appreciated you, and because I felt the same, and I was like, Wes, we're not I don't have the bandwidth to bring folks on. I want to have a conversation, but the energy it takes to prepare and to plan and to vet and all of that, it does take a lot. And you were like, April, this is a great direction. But then you were just like, how are you? How are you doing this week? And I appreciated that because it made me sit and take a deep breath. And it's like, it's heavy. Heavy, and you're right. Like we're all, just when you said it, you're like, we're back to where we started from with a young 20-year-old man, which my son just came home yesterday for the day and sat in the car to show me how he tricked out the car and did LED lights. But he has 3 tree air fresheners hanging up from the mirror. And I was like, you got to take these down. And he told me, and Quincy told me, no, it's not illegal in Pennsylvania. But, like, I'm surrounded by Black men and Black boys. And you're right. Every single day, did you get home safely? Are you okay? Just because you get out in the streets, and not in the streets wilding out, like I said earlier, just going for a drive to work or to any destination, who knows what could happen. So the trauma is real. And I didn't think about it as being PTSD till earlier this week. I had a client, and in reflection and being able to consult about it, it's like that client suffering from PTSD. And I was like, damn, we're not in war, but we are, right?
Yeah.
And so you took some time off for yourself. That's what we have to do more of. That's
my Clubhouse group, we do a Clubhouse group on Friday nights, and it's Black and Disabled AF. And I remember just us chatting on Wednesday, like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this group. Everybody still, some people were just like, man, yeah, I don't want to go and just be angry. I don't want to go and be talking, negative, because we try to take away from the complaining. But we ended up still having it because we realized that it was other people that needed a space to vent. And it was actually really good. It was actually something that was needed. We was happy that we got it, because when you look at Black people that are murdered by the police, you also find that once after they're done, it's always underlined like they have a disability, right? We talk about, whether it's mental health, whether it's just whatever the disability is, it seems like we all end up having one, right? And a lot of things when it comes to that, it makes certain communities where that they feel like they understand the oppression that we face. And so we hosted a room to speak more that you cannot take away the identity of a Black person just because they have a disability, because Black is what is being seen first. That is what's seen, period. Sometimes you don't even get a chance to even explain what you're going through before you're murdered, right? Yeah. And so I think that, and we had a couple, we call them OG, so 70 years and up, people that's been living with disabilities their whole life that are Black. And so we love them because they educate us so much, and they just share their own stories of encounters where, they wasn't able to, being dragged out of cars and things like that, and because their disability or their walker or their chair was in the trunk. And it was great to put that on, to be highlighted, because I think that when we see a lot of these issues, there are people that feel that it's a comparison to the things that they're going through, and not understanding this has been 400 plus years that we've been facing this, and the trauma that we deal with, the PTS that we deal with, is generational. Right. I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, man, I wonder if the things that I feel in my body at times is that, like, am I feeling it from somebody else, right? Like, am I feeling it? Am I feeling it from something that has happened in the past, because it might not initially has happened to me currently, but it's still, I feel it, you know, and I feel it like it's like bringing up a memory or experience. And so just really wanted to make sure that, you know, when we're thinking about these things, just make sure you check on your Black friends. You know, don't look at anything else that they represent besides the fact that they identify as a Black person. And when they identify that as that, that is what they're seeing as first. And those things, and that's what we're looking at when it comes to the oppression. The hate comes from the color of our skin. It's
Mhm.
not everything else is secondary. But
Yep.
the first thing is the color of our skin, and that's what we fear. Like you said, your son having the air fresheners, right? The air freshener isn't going to be what they care about first. It's going to be the color of his skin, and then the fact that now they can use something as an excuse. And it's like, no, you know, it's you know, or just, and outside of just, and of course we can, of course I do want to acknowledge that our brutality is not Black people, right? We did witness something again this week in Chicago too, you know, and that was horrific to witness. It brought me back to Tamir Rice, and so it's just like, again, there's systems that need to be fixed and changed all around, but it started to come from the fear of Black people, you
Right.
know. So I just, yeah, as you see, like I'm still there.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that this is why it's good, because we get to talk about books and some literature, and how do we heal ourselves, and what are some things that we practice when it comes to self-care and self-awareness, you know, to be embodied by who you are, you know, and still be proud of who you are, no matter that you understand that you are feared because of who you are.
Yeah. And I appreciate you saying like the number one thing is our complexion. And although there are various hues, from, you know, vanilla to midnight dark chocolate,
Yeah.
that's, it's all looked at under one umbrella. And how do we love ourselves and heal ourselves? And it's funny because Quincy, and you've met Quincy, like he says, like, you can't heal if you're still in it, you know? And so we are working to give ourselves practices and just a reprieve in the midst of the storm so we can continue the battle and the fight, because it is a continuation, it's not over. So like you said, the mindfulness, the reading, the educating, like our parents did that, our forefathers did that, our foremothers did that, our ancestors did that, so much so that it got us here. And so now you're right. This is what we're doing, you guys. We're moving forward. And I know this is live on various platforms. So for those who would like to chat, please do. And we encourage you to chat, because we are going to be talking about books and things that Wes and I are trying to do to fortify ourselves and build up our strength. And we are willing to share and give some of these books away. So we have a book giveaway. And one of the books that Wes has been reading a lot is the Black Pearls book. And he talked about it a lot. And it hit me like, I don't know what class I took, but I took a lot of African-American studies classes, like a lot, when I was in college, UC Santa Barbara. And I had that book. I think that book was given in our curriculum. So I went to go look for it, Wes. But that's one of the books we're going to give out. And that is a daily devotional. And every day there is a quote from someone who is of the diaspora, somebody who is Black. And it's important, I think, to hear voices that sound like yours and to see a representation of yourself in a global context. Because when you constantly hear and see what's on mainstream media, and just for lack of a better, you know, word, all we used to see on media was just white, 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 white. And if you hear meditations that are just like white voices and you see an image of like, I'll use in yoga because I teach yoga. For years it was just a tall, thin white woman who taught yoga, or a white guy. And that's like, you begin to, that image burns into your brain. And although you feel the benefits of it, you don't really connect with it. Or if every teacher you have is a white teacher or a woman, we've talked about this, there are not a lot of Black male teachers. So how does a Black man find his space if he's being educated by those who don't even identify with who he is? So that book, I think, is a good giveaway. And I think it's a good book that you've been sharing with us recently for that reason.
Yeah, no, I love Black Pearls. This is my book. I can't remember. I think someone referred it on like a talk that I was on last year or something, and I had to go grab it. I can't remember where I got it from, but it is just been something that I've used. I've actually watched, witnessed other people just read it, multiple times a day, just different pages and things to find fulfillment. And so it is a great book that we can give away. I actually gave it away as Christmas gifts to all my family, because I'm at a point that I don't want to just give you things that, are materialistic. I want to give you things that can heal you from the trauma that you face every day. I want to give you things that make you aware that I know that empowerment is still needed, that inspiration is still needed, because we can all look good, we can all go out and all of that, right? But when we go home, our hearts are heavy, the way we feel. And sometimes it takes you to be able to pick up a book that gives you power, give you strength, and also just allow you to remember who you are. And I think and yeah, I see a lot of posts nowadays where people are like, what grade were you in when you had your first Black teacher, right? Like, and I see that a lot more now, because it is really speaking on how the systems were created. One of my favorite Black teachers, male teachers. So I had a couple women, Black female teachers in elementary school, and I'm the only teachers I remember. Crazy, right? My second grade and third grade teacher, but the first male teacher I had was in ISS, in school suspension, when when I was in middle school, because Wesley was a bad boy. But it was like, I don't know, I felt like I would always go right back there. And of course I would do things to get put in there, but it seemed like that was the only place that somebody cared about us. And I used to always, he would speak to us like our father, sometimes, and, tell us, nobody else would tell you when you were wrong. They would just send you out like it was something that they already understood that was going to happen with you. But when it came to him, it was just like, man, why are y'all doing this? You're so much better. You needed someone to talk to you that way. And there wasn't enough of that, and when I think about, just like the teacher, I did a live panel with him. I can't think of his name, but it's like the dope educator. And he's been doing a lot of buzz on the Today Show and stuff. So long story short, he practiced different handshakes with all his students. So
I saw that clip. Yes, yeah. And I don't know if he can remember every single handshake with every single kid.
Exactly. And honestly, I did a whole Instagram live with him. And so he never mentioned like, yeah, Wes, I just remember handshakes, right? So when I seen it, I thought it was amazing because he gave each student an identity, and he didn't switch it from saying, oh, well, we're all going to just do this and just go in. It was like, no, I brought, what you guys love to do and made that a part of me greeting you to see you where you're at. And that's the way I saw it, because once they got in that room, now they were ready to be attentive because they had been seen from the moment they walked in that door. And I see like a lot of us aren't seen, we're just kind of like, you know, flies against the wall, in a sense. And so just seeing that was very empowering. And I love the fact that he got the attention that he received, because there are so many people, teachers and educators in the school system, that just don't give that energy,
Yeah.
to their kids of color, right? He spoke, it was culture, and it wasn't just the Black kids. All the kids were doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was being able to, that's where you think of inclusion, right? Like everybody was included in that, and yeah, that was something that it made me happy. It brought me joy, to see that there are educators that, really want to empower and keep the identity, you know, that's, yeah. So that's the book. That's the reason why I brought up Black Pearls, is, or at least that, because of just Black Pearls, it allows you to find your identity. It gives you, you know, reassurance of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And also letting you understand that the world might not know who you are, and so that, yeah, Black Pearls, if you don't know how to do the giveaway, go check out the Open Up Instagram and social media, because we did break down how you're going to get some of these books. So make sure you go and follow everybody, tag everybody. Or if I don't know if you can do it anymore. I know I'm probably
Monday. We have it until Monday. So okay. When you comment, you get like bonus points. So if you comment live or you comment later on, you get bonus points, because we want to give. And I'm thinking of a few things. One thing I'm thinking of is like Wes and I are doing this, and we love it, and we're passionate about it. And I think of educators, like there's so many people who do want to teach and who do want to share. And we just want to lay it on the table. Every panelist that has come on, we've given them a small honorarium. Like we no longer want to say you're not of value. Like what we can give, we give. And one day I'm hoping we can pay everybody $5,000 just to come speak. But that is part of what's important. Like it's like there's an expectation that, okay, you take care of the community, take care of your people, and they're not being paid enough. So I know, like, I was a teacher in LA Unified, like on Manchester and Florence, like in the thick of it. And there's a lot of work, because what you spoke to earlier was there are so many disabilities in our community that we all fall under, and there are so many people who are neurotypical. There's so much trauma. There's so much that we have to deal with before you even walk into the classroom to teach the curriculum, and then you're almost set up. So I have so many colleagues who are teachers, and then you're not paid enough. You're not even paid enough to be able to buy a house so you could go home and sit in your own bedroom. You're not paid enough to have health insurance, so if you get sick, that you can take a day off and go be taken care of. And if the doctor says you need a week off from work, you are allowed to do that. And so we want to do that. And that's something, when we talk about systems in the education system, that when we talk about defunding the police, and people are like, how can you do that? But all the money that is put into the policing system, a fraction of that can be taken and put into education. A fraction of that can be taken. I know police officers who make a good 6 figures when they're working their overtime, and they do hard work. I'm not saying, like, they do some hard work.
Yeah.
I know very few teachers who make that. I know administrators, you eventually can get there, but we have to like level the playing field, because equality comes when there's equanimity, and there is none right now. So
yes, no.
Thanks
for our educators, because you're doing a lot of work, and we know that you are your value. Is just some people don't see your value, but we do. And
Yeah.
if we can keep pushing equity, hopefully that it speaks to you first, because you're the ones that are, creating
Yeah.
our future leaders. And right now, with the system and the way things are, yeah, it's just hard. So when you said that, April, the only thing I thought about when we talked about books is like, who can rewrite the school books, right? Like, can we just rewrite the history book, right? A lot of people are like, how can we make change? Like, if it starts in the school system, can we all sit down and rewrite the book where that American history speaks more of Black history and not just 1 month? Can it speak more of education on disabilities instead of, the stigma that's around it? Like, how
Mhm.
can we be able to, like, who is that? So anybody that's watching this, like, if
Yeah.
you know,
Curriculum
reach out
development.
to us and let us know,
Yes.
because I think that's where action starts too, is that you can see it when you open that book up. If you're being educated from the grassroots of it, then you're not going to act resentful when you start to be educated down the road, right? Like they always say, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. We're still witnessing that today, because as much change as we're trying to see, there's
Yeah.
still people that can work for 20 something years and mistake a gun from a taser. But I'm gonna just drink on this.
Wait, last was showing us on TikTok. Um, first of all, our culture, our people, like, my God, the creativity. And there's like a whole thread on TikTok where everyone's like there's this guy and he's like, I'm gonna go comb my hair. And he started combing his hair with a gun. He was like, oops. And he puts it down and he picks up a hairbrush.
Hey, I shared that video. I said, I'm not supposed to laugh at this, but it was funny. Like, he tried to slide on his slipper and it was a
It was
gun
a gun.
down
He's
there.
like, oops, it's not a slipper. And
I
you
think,
have to keep from crying, right? Because the it's just preposterous. Like, it just makes no damn sense. And I think that's the point. And and again, for the culture, like, to take that and twist it, like, you think I'm Boo Boo the Fool. Let me show you how stupid this is.
yes. I mean, and just for people to understand, when you watch that video, if you had the ability to, for me, I do watch them because I have a platform that I speak on. So I like to be aware. But what all I seen was, in those moments, if your ass can't look down and see the difference of colors of what you holding in your hand and understand, and that was me. I said at that part I was done. When I heard the taser a couple times and you never look, oh, you knew exactly what you were doing. So like you said, so for us to be able to be creative in a sense to make more people aware that are trying to say, oh, well, that was a mistake. Our lives being taken is not a mistake. Our lives being taken is intentionally done from fear of who we are. That is it. Again, when I think about anything, I think about Tamir Rice and the seconds that it took for him to lose his life. Those
Playing cops and robbers or playing shooting a gun. Like, that's what, if I know nothing else, and I'm not going to, my attempt is not to generalize because I understand, like, we're so diverse. But one thing I know, little boys, and I've raised 3 of them, you don't give them a toy gun, they're going to find a stick. They're going to find something,
yes.
a contraption. They're going to do something to represent their testosterone in a way. Shoot something. Why can't a kid shoot a toy gun and play around? Like, but he's brown.
Yeah. And so, just again, when I think about those things, I think about people that keep trying to dial down the noise. And what we do is, and again, I always say, like, the trauma happens because it happens in 2 or 3, right? Like, all the time. When George Floyd happened, we was dealing with the Central Park incident a few days before, right? And then, so when this happened, we was dealing with the Army lieutenant. I think he was the lieutenant that was dealing with things in his vehicle, and you had to deal with that. And then what was it? The next day, then you have this other incident, and it's like, it is really, to me, it's like the world is showing you one of what profiling looks like, and then the second one is what action from that profiling looks like. What is that? You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I see all the time. And for me, it's like, man, you don't want to tell somebody to just. The beauty of our culture is that we still remain hopeful because we've been broken down. We've watched people die. We've watched people be beat. This has been happening for years, hundreds of years. So I think for us, we are just so resilient to say, man, tomorrow can be a better day. Tomorrow maybe we'll see change. Maybe we can keep getting on these platforms and raise awareness that we can still be hopeful that change is coming, no matter if, Martin Luther King, is not here anymore. Malcolm X, none of our leaders that was speaking about change 50 plus years ago, is still coming. And I think that for us, that's the beauty of us, is that we are resilient. And the difference with other, is that they aren't so resilient. They can't see change happening, so they continue being who they are.
Or it's not going to benefit them.
Exactly.
There's a desire for it to happen because the harm isn't coming to them. And that's what's interesting about what just happened with Dante Wright, because they saw a Black boy in the car and that evoked like this primal fear in a white woman. But his mother is white. Like, that was a biracial child.
Yes.
And that 1/16th drop of blood is what American society has adopted as, be scared of anything like that. So now I think it's coming a little closer. I don't know what kind of catalyst it'll spark for change, but a white mother is pleading for her Black son justice, and it's a white woman who actually pulled the trigger, who was training other cops.
Exactly.
And when you think of George Floyd and you think of the lieutenant, I think one of the cops who, anyway, you're seeing Black and brown and Asian, you're seeing people of color in these systems that are invoking some of the pain. Like, Eric Chauvin was on the neck, but there were other cops who were holding him down as well, and some of them were of color. You were seeing like a woman who is a mother kill somebody else's son, and they're trained, so when we talk about writing curriculum and developing programming and changing the systems, that's what it's about. So hopefully it'll change.
Yes.
You talked about resilience in another book. I'm going to tap on the books that we're giving away first, and then I wanted to tap on books that you and I have just been reading that have been changing our whole mindset. But My Grandmother's Hands, I'm trying to find it. That's this book, Resima Menachem. And I should probably reach out to him because I've been like pumping up his book, but you see all my tabs on it. But I'm in mindfulness and yoga and meditation, and I teach it and I practice it, and I can practice it more. But my intention has always been like, we're always under stress. And I have been listening to the trial, particularly to some of the doctors and the scientists who have been speaking. And when they talk about like the carbon dioxide and the poisons that have seeped into George Floyd's body due to the restriction of air, it hit me because that happens so violently, but it happens to us almost every single day as well. And us witnessing what happened to him took our breath and it poisoned us as well, literally, because when you become under stress, and there was one expert on there, he's like, when you become under stress, he explained all the physiology about it. So to be able to sit and take a deep breath is to literally fill yourself up with life, and to help lower your nervous system, and to help bring space into your mind so you can think more clearly. because a lot of stress that happens to everybody makes us not be able to think clearly and act clearly. And if we want to continue to be resilient and to thrive and not just to be in the survival mentality, we need that. And this book talks about that. And he talks about the history of racism. The key that I like about this book is that he specifies what white supremacy is and how we all live under white supremacy. We all do, no matter what the color of your skin is. And so because we live under that, we have to change our mindset. And by taking mindfulness practices into our lives, we can start. So this is a giveaway, you guys. It's an easy read. You read chapter by chapter, and at the end of each chapter, he gives you something to do. Like, we experience everything in our bodies, and to heal our bodies. And to heal our bodies is important because we are dying of COVID more than anybody else. On George Floyd's trial, they try to talk about how he has an enlarged heart. They try to talk about all the comorbidities he had, and they're trying to say that led to his death with the ingestion of some substance. But you know what? I've seen a lot of people smoking, getting high, drinking, having a good time, and they're not dying. But we have diabetes, we have high blood pressure, we have cancer more than any other race. Black people are dying, women are dying from birthing children, that our mortality rate is way higher than others. We have so many issues. We don't trust the medical system for a very good and valid reason. There are not enough of us represented in the medical system. We're not taught how to heal ourselves. And that's why that this book is important, because it's like somebody saying, this is a way that you can start healing yourself.
Well, I just put it in my Amazon cart, and I just bought the audiobook too. So
yes,
he's going to get a lot of support from me, because I am a firm believer. At least for me, I bought a physical books and an audio book, because I know that the author can say things differently than the way that you interpret it, you know, when you're reading it yourself. But yeah, I just love the support. So thank you for that, because I'm ready for that one.
Yeah, and this is a giveaway, you guys. So again, if you want this one, again, you have until Monday to chat it up. But and I like the way that this drew it in, because I kind of think of our community like, I was born in Berkeley, California. I grew up in LA, and LA is like, eat avocados and salads and drink Gucci berries. And I was like, I do. But I feel like we have like this faction in our community that you're either like total Afrocentric and Rasta and like vegan, and you're like all natural, Hotep, or you're just, and that's like looked at like, yeah, you over there, I'm straight. But the synergy and the connection and the truth is that we grew up in a community and in a culture that has survived, and we have survived because the reason soul food was created, this blew my mind. The reason soul food was created is because we came over, well, we didn't come over. We were taken from the motherland, brought to different countries. Those who came to United States, we had yams, right? Like we ate yams, but we ate a lot of plant-based foods. We did eat animals, but it's like when you hunted it yourself and those animals ate off the land. Well, then you're told you have to work in the fields all day long. How are you going to survive? You need high fats. You work out, Wes. We know about macros, right? In order to sustain energy, you need proteins and you need fats. So given the scraps, Black people were able to make soul food. Given the scraps, all right, you don't want to give me the nice piece of ham. You don't want to give me the pork roast. So I'm going to take the chitlins. But I need some fat in those chitlins. So I'm going to take the fat that you gave me and I'm going to put that into the chitlins. I'm going to make cornbread. I'm going to put fat into the cornbread. I know how to do these things. And so we had to have that high fat meal in order to survive and in order to be able to be oppressed and beaten and work all day. We are still having to work in the same way, but we're still having that same diet, and we need to shift and eat more natural and eat healthier. So I think this is part of education. Like when you're talking about rewriting curriculum and rewriting education and revisiting how we can help our health, because our culture is different. Not everybody has that same culture. So to tell us we need to eat like a mainstream or a European style culture is not going to fit for us. I'm off my soapbox with that one.
No, I like it. No, thank you for that. Yes. Whew. Man, guys, that's the part of this conversation. It's a safe space, but we're really sharing, how everyone else is feeling. We consume so much every day from people that just look up to us, people that follow us, people that are hurting and in pain. And so today is just a day that, we have to be hopeful. It's a new week. So if hopefully you get the book, right? Hopefully you get Black Pearls. Hopefully you get, hold on, let me make sure I got it right.
Hands.
My grandmother's hand.
And
Yeah.
we have another book. So talking about bodies and health, Sonia Renee Taylor, and I do have the hard copy, and I just put it up on the phone. My body is not an apology. And I try to, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So good. Sonia Renee Taylor. We're giving this away. And same audio, hardcover. I listened to her on Brene Brown's podcast and a few other things. She's a powerhouse. And in the book, she talks about everything, but she talks about gender. She talks about ableism, and she gives like some really clear testimony to people who suffer because we're told our bodies are wrong, our bodies aren't right, because it's a beautiful book. And to get ourselves to a space where we are healthy, we have to know that our bodies are not the enemy. Mm-hmm. Our skin isn't the enemy. The abilities that we have, that's not an enemy. Like, you being in a wheelchair is not an enemy, right? Like, if I get depressed and I get in a funk, that's not evil. That's not bad. That's not something that is against humanity. That is something that I can learn to accept about myself and move forward in it. And only when you do that can you move forward. So the body is not an apology. The power of radical self-love.
Yeah, I literally just threw that right in my cart too. Because I feel like I just like the part where it said radical self-love. It really just resonated with me because it means that you're embodying it in a different way. And I think that even my journey had to start with me loving myself and accepting my body and accepting the fact that who I was, what I seen, I had to fall in love with my reflection. And that helped me change and make a difference in my life. And I think that we got to start somewhere. And to start, we have to accept who we are and not reject it like everyone else has tried to make you feel or, think. And so, make sure, again, you're going to our social medias. You're seeing how to get these books or at least get a part of this giveaway. And hopefully, one of these books you can get. If not, the books are listed in the caption, so you can be able to throw them in your Amazon cart if you want to, because that's what I just did. So I can make sure I get it real quick. But anywhere you want to go, your bookstores, things like that. But these are books that we highly recommend you getting, especially, if you're trying to find some type of healing.
Yeah. And that whole thing, like you said, radical self-love. I know women deal with this a lot, and I am finding men do too, like, because our bodies aren't shaped a certain way, or, people are injecting their bodies and lifting and feeling. And you know what? I'm not judging, because I'm like, you do what you want to do to feel good about yourself. But I think of, for so long, I would wear things that would cover me up because I felt like my butt's too big. Then it became popular for butts to be big. Or, women don't wear shorts because, and I do this still, I have cellulite on my thighs. I can't show that, or it's sexualized. And so it's taken by somebody else and put on blast instead of us being able to own it for ourselves. So that radical self-love is a stand. That's a form of resistance. that's a form of protest.
Mm-hmm.
That is where we can create change, because we're taught not to love ourselves. We're taught not to appreciate ourselves, or we're taught by people who do not love and appreciate us in the same way that our families love us and that our communities love us. So that's kind of what we are trying to do, step into the community and fill that void that we too experienced, right?
No, very much so. So, yeah, man, I think that in anybody's book, list and journey, when you are looking at these things, like, of course, we want you to take things from it, but make sure you got a journal. Make sure you got something on the side that you can start to write. Some of the key points that you find in these books, in this literature, so that you can be able to go back and reflect on them. Journaling is powerful for anyone, but I think that it was one of the biggest things that helped me, just as a Black man, finding acceptance, being able to write the things that I didn't accept. And for some reason, once I wrote them down, it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, why don't I accept that? Why am I looking at myself that way? And so I always tell people, write your pain down on paper. Because sometimes when you start to see those words and how you feel, it makes you start changing it, but if it's stuck in your head, it could just be stuck in your head and you don't have nowhere to release it to start to think differently. So journaling, y'all.
I wholeheartedly agree. And when you say it gets stuck in your head, I think of like the circle, right? And so when we talk about meditation and affirmations and focus, we do that with the negative. I don't have any money. I don't have any money. Dang, I don't have any money. I'm so upset I don't have any money. I can't pay the bills because I don't have any money. I'm in pain. And you just keep thinking and thinking and thinking. Or if somebody does something to you, and I've done it. I tell people the stories. I tell 5 people the story. So now all 5 people have heard of the pain. And then I think about it again. And so I've like relived that event a dozen times, and it's in my mind, and it's in my body reflects it. I get tense. I get upset. I get mad every single time. And so being able to flip the switch on that. What did I learn from that? What can I do differently? Maybe the focus is I'm going to make more money. I'm going to receive more money. I'm going to find a new job. I'm going to work a little harder. I'm going to, start focusing on what you're capable of, and write, like you said, write it out, get it out, verbally share it with somebody who is safe and who you can trust, or just say it out loud to yourself. There's no shame in talking to yourself. That's considered a stigma too.
Because honestly, when you look at things, it's like when you send that long text message and then you delete it. Like, I feel like a lot of people do that, right? Yeah. Somebody might say something that you don't like, or you're just trying to get something out, and you're like, I'm texting, and then by the time you're done, you're like, oh, it's not even worth it. Right. Sometimes you just need to release. Yeah. And once you release, you find yourself being at a place of peace. And so, but when it's stuck in your head, when it's stuck in your thoughts for just having a revolving door, like the door is still open, but it's hard for you to eventually it's hard for you to take it, to deal with it, because now you're piling up more and more with that, but if you take it from that aspect, because I'm sure everybody has tried to vent in a text message and then just said, nope, that's not even worth it. Like, you're sending a message like, okay, or something, like it's the shortest thing ever, because you were able to put it down and release it. And so, find some way to release. And like April said, even when we're talking the negative things about what's going on in our lives, sometimes, you can say it, right? But you have to also be able to push it out so that you can start to manifest the positive things. We do more complaining than finding solutions. And sometimes the solutions is right behind the complaints. That
was good. We need to quote solution is right behind the complaint. And that's true. If we can pause, so the complaint is okay. The complaint is valid. And it's not to deny how you feel. I think that's another thing, like, we are taught to escape our feelings. So especially as Black folks, like, you all just angry. You're the angry Black man, you're the angry Black woman. You're loud, you're just fussing. Well, okay, there's a solution behind that. There's a reason behind that. And so it's okay to be in that space. Why? Go for the why. Go for the why. Go for the why.
I had to write that down. I had to write that down. Once you said it, I said, you know what? Let me write that down.
Yes, yes, you're right. The solution is behind the complaint. And you're empowered, like, you have it.
Because some people are like, oh, I didn't want to go, like, I don't want to go to the gas station. And it's like, you know what, forget it, I'm gonna go to the gas station, right? Like, it's literally right behind the complaint. I don't want to go to the grocery store. Oh, forget it. Pack y'all stuff up so we can get to the grocery store, right?
All of that, you're serving yourself. And that's the thing. Support and serve yourself. And you do that, you're going to do that for everybody in your circle.
All right. So, April, of course, I know this wasn't part of the giveaway, but because it's since we're talking about systemic issues, we're talking about, all these books that help you with healing, finding your identity. My recommendation is the Black Magic book by Chad Sanders. And it is literally what Black leaders learn from trauma and triumph. And so
Black Magic book?
Yes, Black Magic. And so I actually met Chad before I even knew this book was coming out. And so and he actually has a podcast done with Brene Brown as well. So you can check it out just to kind of listen to the concept. But he just talks about how he had to maneuver in certain spaces to find just to figure out that those wasn't the spaces that he really belonged in. And there's other stories of other amazing leaders as well in this book. But I think in today's era, when you're thinking about employment, it was one part where it was like, man, I was the only Black person at Google, right? Or in his area at Google. And he said, that's why everybody remembered my name. And I thought about that, right? Like every time I see somebody that a white person's, just be blunt, they know me.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, like everybody just know Wes.
You're like, hey.
But it's like in reality, I might be one of 2 or 5 of the only Black people that you know. And so it's easy for you to remember my name. It's difficult for me to remember yours because I've had to meet so many of you to maneuver in spaces to actually feel like I could be accepted. So it's like when I go to a building, I'm looking like I got to remember Jack, Jim, like everybody, right? But then all they have to do is say, well, what about that one Black guy that worked with you? Oh, Wesley?
Yep. And if there's a new guy, that Black guy might be Wesley too. Like
exactly, and so it just speaks on that of just how when you are just really the elephant in the room, when you are the one that stands out, it's not that people just see you for everything, but it's like they can point to you first because you would be the problem in that space because that space doesn't include enough of you. So it's just kind of, again, it was very, very eye-opening. Black Magic. It gave me some of my magic back. I'm always trying to find strength constantly through all this trauma too. I think I did an Instagram live video a couple of days ago, and it was really, I work with a lot of people. But it just got to me that, some people will never speak up on us. Some people, even though you speak diversity, inclusion, they are set in their ways and they don't want to change. And so, but they will find somebody that will kind of push and say, oh, well, you're the one to lead the change. And I'm like, I'm willing to, if you're willing to meet me at my grandmother's house. And so that was my whole life. Like, if you can't meet me in my grandmother's house where she's been staying 50 plus years in the hood, then it's not real.
Oh,
It's
there
not.
you go. There you go.
and, and so
Yes.
it's like, if you only want me to come to your side of town, but you're not willing to spend a day and understand the culture and not judge it, then it's not real, because I'm there every day. But I am also finding myself over in your area where I've been uncomfortable my whole life, but you can always say uncomfortable conversations to give you a place of peace. We never had a term or a definition to speak on how we went into spaces. Rather, we were always uncomfortable because we were always the only ones.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, make me comfortable by you meeting me at my grandma's house. And if you don't want to meet me at my grandma's house, it ain't real. That's how I feel.
I like that. Yeah. That's funny because I think, yeah, meet me. What you consider the hood is what we consider home, and it is. So, all right. I know we're almost coming to our hour. Two things. One book, you mentioned history, and I just finished on audio, and I do have the hard copy, The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And this was such a beautiful book. And basically it's about the Underground Railroad. And there's like magic in it. There's mystery in it. It speaks to resilience and the power of Black people. Harriet Tubman is a figure in the book, but I encourage people to read like fictional pieces like this. And he's written a lot of books, like The Letter to a Son. I mean, he's written a lot. But we should learn our history from ourselves.
Yes.
And that's when you're talking about who's going to write the stories, who's writing the curriculum. He is one of the writers that is doing, one of many, but this book, I think, I finished it last month, and I didn't, like, I was, on audio, when you're listening to a good book, you're like, I'm gonna clean the whole kitchen. I'm gonna do all the laundry. Like, you don't want to stop. I'm gonna drive that extra mile. So that's one book. And my last is, one of my clients gave this to me, All Along You Were Blooming by Morgan Harper Nichols. And what I appreciate about her is she's an artist. She's a poet. And just recently, I don't know her age. She's definitely an adult, married with a child. So maybe 30s, maybe 40s. I don't know. She was just diagnosed with, she's on the spectrum, the autism spectrum. And she always knew something was different about her. And she would always ask the doctor, and they're like, what are you talking about? No, you're fine. And she's like, no, something's not right. And it took until she was a grown woman to finally get that diagnosis. And it took a weight off of her. It lifted a veil, because all along, and this is what you said you were talking about on your Clubhouse, like all along she was maneuvering through life with a disability, but it was never recognized. And she's being told, no, and you're wrong, or this is something, you're not doing something right. And she's just trying to live in this regular society with a disability, and nobody would acknowledge it. So she's beautiful. She's written a lot. And this is a good book for affirmations as well. It's a book full of poetry that lifts your spirits and can go to show you that you don't have to be neurotypical to be a creative, to be an artist, to make change. So Morgan Harper Nichols.
I am, that's another, once I pulled her up, it's another one by her, says How Far You Have Come. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna order it too, because if this one is good, then I would love to check that one out as well. So again, today was a day that we wanted to drop some gems and some literature with you guys. So I hope you guys go check out the social media, be a part of the giveaway. We'll share these books that we also spoke of today, and you'll always be able to look back at this video as long as you're following Open Ups. So April, you can close it out, but I truly appreciate everybody that was watching, people that are going to watch later. Make sure you share this because, again, this is the way that we heal. We have conversations, we take action, and
Mm.
sometimes the action has to be us picking up books that we learn our history, learn our strength, learn our power, and go back from there.
Yes. And I'm going to close out with something from her, but I'm acting like your sister, like I'm in the family here. Like Wesley is nominated as a CNN hero. And I'm just like, oh my God, I know him. So I know there's a link that people can go to support. And I want like,
Yes.
you want to say a few words, Mr. Hamilton?
You know what? Yeah, I am nominated as a CNN hero for my philanthropy work with the organization Disabled But Not Really. We are literally just kind of waiting for the nomination and the voting process to begin. So make sure you're following all of our platforms so that you can kind of help us amplify that. I would love to bring more awareness to the work that I'm doing, and these platforms are allowing me to. So with your support, we can get there even further and really change what it looks like, even in the philanthropy stages when it speaks of people with disabilities and people of color. So I'm highly excited about it. But yeah, thank you, April.
It's awesome. People too to see like let's put value to this. Like you shouldn't have to do so much work to do the work. Like let's give people the space to be able to do the work. And so what you're doing is invaluable. It's so needed. And it doesn't take away from anybody else. So I want to continue to amplify that. And I appreciate you for that. And so I'm excited. I'm going to read a little poem from Morgan Harper Nichols, real short to close us out. There's no title and it is page 50, but even while you wait, your life is taking shape like clay in the hands of the potter. There is no need to be afraid, for whatever is being sculpted is worthy at every stage of being loved and held with care for exactly what it is.
Yes.
I'd like to leave on that note. I love you. Thank you, Amy. Love you. Thank you. My heart feels a little better.
Yes.
I hope this does too, you guys. Please heal yourself as much as you can each day. Take in what you can. Let go of what you don't need, because we need all of us collectively to continue to heal and to create change and to bring justice for all of us.
Yes. So read, because
yes,
if you want to hide anything, trust and believe. They put it in books, but we're encouraging you to open them up so that you can understand your history, your power, your strength, and how much that we love you, but how much you should love yourself.
Right. Read, write, do it all. Get it out there. Your voice is needed. All right. That's it.
Yes. Yes.
You guys have a great Sunday.
Awesome.
All right.